God, I can't do it. I can't do it. How long? What was that? Like 8 seconds?
It was not very long. Yeah.
It felt like an eternity in my mind. I'm just like, they're gonna tune in and all think that everything is broken, and it's all going to be my fault. Like I've never been a good rebel in my life, and that's part of the reason is I'm always afraid of the intended and unintended consequences.
Well, it's okay, because the only thing that's broken is my finger.
And my spirit.
That too.
And my dreams. And not my ankle anymore, thankfully, but bless you. Anyway, welcome back to the AHL pre-show. Everyone out there, we love you all. Hi, how have you been? It's go ahead, you can go ahead and answer that.
I've overworked and underpaid.
Story of mine, yours, and everyone else's life around us, because I don't think Elon Musk is tuning into this show at any time soon. He might be. He could be a huge American Hockey League fan, but
he's not even American.
It doesn't. So is like half the league, and I don't discriminate. But all I'm saying is I'm not seeing any of that kickback my way. Anyway, it's been a couple of weeks. We've had holidays and just general madness surrounding both holiday and unholiday reasons. But I mean, we're back. The AHL just keeps rolling along, and we are here to deliver more chaos, more content, more vibes. And I don't know about you, but I kind of just want to dive right into it and get everyone up to speed. Yeah, she's feeling that.
Go ahead.
So it's been a little while, but I kind of want to talk about this a bit because the move kind of perplexed me to begin with. But as most people know, Chicago kind of canned their head coach heading into the season, Luke Richardson, and replaced him with Rockford's old bench boss. That's Anders Sorensen. Now, Sorensen's been around the block for at least as long as I've been on the beat. So it's been about 3 years, 4 years ish, and I wouldn't say he's done a terrible job in Rockford or anything like that. But I feel like a couple years the Ice Hogs probably should have been a little higher up in the standings. I wasn't totally on board with some of his lineup decisions. I saw a lot of the Ice Hogs covering 2 teams in the Central Division, and it never really struck fear in me in the lineup. And Grand Rapids handled them pretty moderately easily, I'll say, in the playoffs. And I get Chicago's kind of looking for a bit of a spark. They're looking for their 19-year-old franchise savior to not look like a beer leaguer out there on an ice, because I know what that body language looks like. It's like you're down 11-2 at 10:35 on a Wednesday night. You got to work in the morning. It's not great. And but Sorensen has he's got the job. He's up there in Chicago. He's trying to make it work. It's a tough assignment. Chicago, we all know, not very good. And then Rockford,
the savior of the NHL.
Macklin Celebrini plays in San Jose.
I meant the savior of the NHL.
I know. That's why I said Macklin Celebrini plays in San Jose.
Nah, but Dart was supposed to be it.
I know. The savior has to be a man named Connor. We've kind of come to that arc in the NHL's history. But I get where they're going with that. They have a team down in Rockford with guys like Frank Nazar, Artyom Levshunov, Kevin Korchinski, lot of big future pieces that are going to looking to be key contributors to the Blackhawks sooner rather than later. And now they've kind of turned the ship over to interim head coach Mark Eaton, a guy who hasn't really had any coaching experience, which is fine. I mean, maybe the organization knows his background and his rapport with the players. Certainly knows better than I do. From an outsider's perspective, kind of Rockford hasn't had the best start. I think they were kind of expected to be near the top of the division. And seeing a team like Chicago Wolves, young team, kind of in a similar situation, now really kind of turning it around, finding their rhythm, playing really good hockey. I don't know if I agree with this move that's kind of got Rockford continuing to just spin their tires in the mud. A team that really should be better than where they are in the standings.
I think we can say the same thing about Chicago, though. No, like they're not playing great, but on paper they should be at least serviceable.
Chicago had a tough first, month and a half, but they've been kind of on fire as of late. They've won 9 of their last 12 games.
Well, that's because they canned Luke Richardson. I got a lot of. No, I'm talking about
the Blackhawks. Yeah, no, the Blackhawks are still bad. The Blackhawks.
Yeah, as somebody with a lot of experience with Luke Richardson behind the bench. Yeah, valid. Go off. Everybody should fire Luke Richardson at least once.
These moves just reek of. I mean, I get that you have to make. You got moves to make, right? Because you have a franchise cornerstone who's probably not very happy there. It doesn't feel stable. It
feels like a decision that was made to like placate the board.
Right. It's making a move for the sake of making a move.
Right. It's like, look, we definitely want to win. Sure, you want to see results, shareholders? I got you. We're just gonna fire this Luke guy, Luke, and we're gonna bring in this AHL guy, and see if that works. Historically, coaching changes have worked a little bit. Okay, we know we're the Blackhawks, so nothing applies to us. We get it, but we can try it. But then they, get to the point where it's like, well, nobody's gonna come from the NHL to coach the AHL. Nobody's taking that pay cut. So what do we got? Who's currently not getting paid? Boom, hire him.
There's just so much potential in the future of this franchise that I don't see the whole. I guess I don't see the whole picture. Maybe Chicago has it all figured out, and I'm the idiot, and that wouldn't surprise me because, well, the past examples have certainly proven the latter the case. But I feel like there needs to be kind of a bit more hands-on kind of control. It feels like the Wild West. It's like, okay, we're kind of throwing this coach up from Rockford. He didn't produce the best results, but you know what? He's going to fix the potential face of the NHL someday. And that someday was yesterday because Connor Bedard is all over the NHL's marketing, for better or worse, that is. And again, leaving these guys in Rockford with a coach who, could potentially be, a great situation for these guys, but he's going to take some time figuring out his own way and his own style. And after a while, I mean, there's just so much time for these guys that need to develop these winning habits. Like how long is this going to take, and how, like, in long term, I feel like Chicago keeps kind of trying to throw these guys like Lucas Reichel into these situations that they're not really preparing them for in Rockford. So how are they going to be doing that much better in Chicago when you have to try and lift up this downtrodden city spirits on the back of a 19-year-old kid trying to will a bunch of players that have all the talent in the world, but they don't know what to do with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but every team that has drafted a superstar first overall has had that same exact like transition to make. Sidney Crosby did it. Alex Ovechkin did it. Connor McDavid is currently doing it. You know, so like I get it. I get what you're saying. But at the end of the day, it's like if you want to be the best and if you put in the work and you want to be first overall, you have to understand that like there is going to be that, like if you want to have a high draft pick, like if you want to go in the first round, in the first half of the first round, you have to know that there's going to be heavy expectations on you and that your team is probably not equipped to help you. They just drafted high in the first round. You know?
Yeah. It's more concerning, I think, for the Blackhawks. I mean, no one was going to expect them to win or even compete. But I think it's the fact that you do look out there and you're seeing like, well, Connor Bedard is really struggling out there, especially when like it's that whole image of like Chicago is Squidward and the Sharks and Ryan Warsofsky and Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith are SpongeBob and Patrick just vibing outside and having fun. Like they're losing. It's like San Jose still is not a good team at the NHL level, but they're still vibing. There's still like hope there, you know? And I feel like, I don't know, Chicago's kind of hitting the, I don't know if they're hitting the panic button a little too hard here. Because, granted, Bedard hasn't looked great, but he's still only 19. At the same, I'm struggling to see the direction where this organization's going. That's all.
I think the organization as a whole, all parts of the organization, are still recovering from the massive PR nightmare that has plagued them for the better part of this decade.
Deserved. It's deserved.
100% deserved. But they're still, you know, like they're trying to toe the line of like, we're competitive, but like we can't do anything that's gonna like rock the boat, because like not only did they have that one, but the whole Corey Perry thing, and like
forgot about that.
Yeah, it's just like it's something after another in Chicago. I think what we're seeing on the ice is indicative of some of things that are happening in the front office behind the scenes that we're never gonna find out about, but we can kind of see it playing out on the ice.
Yeah, and I guess we're really not going to know the whole ramifications of these moves for, you know, it's going to take months and years down the line before we kind of, whether we understand, okay, this is why they did it, or we understand like, wow, they really kind of had no idea how to navigate that whole thing. But tough situation in Chicago, but if anyone can embrace a group of lovable losers, it's a city that has housed the Cubs for hundreds of years. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's dial it back to some good vibes here, because I love this story of, you know, of Jack Campbell coming back to Grand Rapids after spending some time in the player assistance program at the beginning of the season. And I gotta show this to our fans out there, because everyone needs to see this man. He got his first win this past week for the Griffins, and oh boy, hold up, I gotta pull the tweet back up, but just the look on his face, and it's coming in about 4 seconds. Yeah, there it is. Looks like your child just got back from the first day of kindergarten. He's showing his parents off the macaroni art that he made. I mean, look at that. Just absolutely pure bliss.
Yeah. Listen, the only reason I disliked Campbell ever was when he was wearing blue and white.
Well, no one likes Leaf goalies, not even Leafs fans.
Yeah, the only reason I was like, nah. But by all accounts, great guy. By all accounts, nobody deserves it more.
Mm-hmm.
You should definitely clear your notifications before you share the screen next time.
Why? What are my notifications? Anyway, no one kind of really understands the depths of what he's been battling. I mean, going from Toronto to Edmonton with that big contract, I think he felt a lot of undue scrutiny. Yeah. Absolutely, and it comes with the position, and it comes with the territory.
There's a lot of expectations on goalies. Unrealistic expectations on goalies. Every goalie has to be a Vezina candidate. There's no room for error. Like, the expectations are you contend for a cup because of your goalie, and your goalie should be taking home some hardware. Like, I would never, ever in my life want to be an NHL goalie.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I couldn't handle it, and I'm happy for him that he recognized that he needed some time away from the game and to work on himself. It's it reminds us that these are all humans at the end of the day. I think we can get caught up a lot in and watching the highlights and the box scores and all of that, and we start thinking of these guys as avatars or like video game characters in NHL, but these are tangible human beings that fight these kind of battles that we can only begin to imagine of. So, I hope that Jack's found, the support that he deserves, and that, he's clearly come back and he's playing at a high level, and judging by that picture, looks like he's having a great time doing it. And so, clearly unbiased, I want him to have a bunch of success for Grand Rapids, but I mean, just generally as, a human, it's good to see someone kind of recognizing that they need help and then go and find it. So it takes a lot of strength to do that, and I applaud Jack for doing so. Yes,
and we love to see happy goalies.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, happy goalies is such a vibe. I might go so far as just like every week we highlight one happy goalie.
One happy goalie. I'm here for it because we're all kind of psychopaths. So anything that can make a goalie smile is worth highlighting.
Absolutely. I'm going to turn it over to my other beat, and that's the Chicago Wolves. I kind of talked about it a little earlier in this episode, but they've been on an absolute tear lately. They've won 9 of their last 12 games after kind of a slow start, especially offensively. They couldn't buy a goal to save their lives the first month and change of the season, and now they're just absolutely lighting it up. And leading the charge is a controversial figure on the AHL pre-show. That is Ryan Suzuki with
who
11
does not
points.
Exist for the record.
I'm going to debate that because those
he does
11
not
points.
Exist. Ryan Suzuki is the product of the CIA's latest endeavors to control the population's mind. They've implanted the idea of Ryan Suzuki, and AI has generated some stats on every official page so that we continue to believe that Ryan Suzuki even exists.
Well, if AI has gone so advanced to put up 11 points in the last 7 games, then I just say give Skynet control of the nukes right now, and let's just
because that's why I don't have like an Alexa or anything, because AI. See how quickly AI developed? I'm not about to have to fight for my life against a toaster when we reach the AI singularity. It's not happening.
It's already started, so you might as well just grab a phased plasma rifle and a 40-watt range and get locked and loaded, sister, because Judgment Day's coming.
Not me. I've never even seen those Schwarzenegger movies.
Oh, come on. You're missing all these pop culture references. You never seen Terminator?
I'm kidding. I totally seen Terminator.
Oh my God. I was about to reach through the screen and fight you.
That's why I got your joke. Like it was a callback to your joke.
Well, I don't know this. You could totally be just throwing your. I was a little rattled there.
Guessing some AI movies.
Yeah,
I saw Disney Channel original movie Smart House. I don't want that for me.
Well, I mean, there's just right. If you have any kind of smart refrigerator, like I don't want to talk to my fridge. I just want my fridge to keep the food cool.
Yeah, truly, if I wanted talking household objects, I would have just like found a guy who, when he was like a child, told the ugly lady that she could not come in and eat dinner, and then she turned out to be a beautiful enchantress and was like, haha, you're like grotesque now, here's a rose, it will bloom until your 21st birthday, and you have to like Stockholm syndrome somebody into loving you before the last petal falls, and then boom, he does that, and he's actually like kind of hot, but it's like
I don't remember Beauty and the Beast being a warning against AI having too much autonomy and power in our daily lives, but I'm gonna roll with it.
They have talking appliances.
Yeah, but that's because they're people, not because they're machines that have gained sentience.
How do you define if a machine has gained enough sentience that it can be considered to have consciousness? How do you define person from machine at that point? If we're defined in our personhood by our consciousness.
Look, if you start giving AI a religion, then you're going to have to start giving them rights, and I'm not about to walk down that slippery slope right now. So
yeah, we can't even let the women have rights. Like, why are we going to give machines rights?
Okay, now that we've completely gone off the rails.
Ryan Suzuki doesn't exist. You're right. I got you.
Yes, he does. One more controversial figure for the AHL pre-show. That's the Providence Bruins. Controversial in the fact that we like to dunk on them for a lot of postseason bruining, but they've been bruining up the regular season here a little bit, and in a good way.
Yeah, but Providence always do.
They always do this, okay? But we got to talk about it because, like, maybe it's different this year because Matthew Patra has. The man's got 7 straight games with a goal. Like, maybe they suck less. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's the regular season.
Well, 7 straight games with a goal is still something you got to talk about. Now, if he can do it, it's different now than if he does it in the postseason. But
right, like it doesn't count now.
Well, it kind of counts. They're still on the sheet. It's not like it's an accident. It's not like it's a preseason game. Okay, they count. Just not.
Okay, look, it counts for everybody but the Bruins. You can't do the same thing every year and expect me to believe that you're going to give Hershey a run for their money this year. Come on.
Well, no, they can't even beat Hartford, let alone Hershey. So, I'm not saying that they're gonna run away with the division once the calendar turns over to April. I'm just saying that they're playing some good hockey, especially because the first month of the season they looked awful. They looked like they weren't even going to make the playoffs enough in order to choke into them. So, like, okay, they're starting to turn it around. They're third in the division. It's like maybe if they kind of tank a little earlier and they don't have such high expectations at the top of the division, they might not ruin it so much. Like maybe you should try and embrace the role of the underdog instead of taking on the lead because you're not doing very well as the house favorite.
It's what I keep telling Providence. It's like, come on, man. Like if you, right, you give yourself, they hype themselves up too much. They're like, guess what? We won the regular season. And then they forget that to win anything, you actually have to win the postseason. But they're like, oh, yeah, playoffs. We got that. Why? Because we just won the regular season. Everybody we're playing right now, we've already played. We've already beat. They gotta chill. They gotta chill. They gotta chill not as much as the other Bruins who are brewing it even harder.
They're brewing it pretty hard.
They're brewing everything. My fantasy team, Swayman needs to figure it out. Yeah, but they gotta find like a little happy medium there, right? Because they're the Toronto Maple Leafs of the AHL. They win the President's Trophy and then they choke in the first round.
Oh, that's not a reputation you want to have.
No, who wants to be the Toronto Maple Leafs of anything? The Toronto Maple Leafs don't even want to be the Toronto Maple Leafs of being the Toronto Maple Leafs.
We just talked about how much it sucks to be the Toronto Maple Leafs, so that all checks out. For their sake, I hope. I don't know how many times I can say like maybe this is the year because between like being ousted by a 42-year-old Corey Schneider and just not being able to beat Hartford and just collapse after collapse after collapse. I do. There is a part of my heart that's, grew 3 times its size that day. And maybe I'd like to see Providence break away from that reputation. But until they do so, every time we talk about them, we're going to continue talking about brewing it. And, always remember, keep the Heimlich maneuver in mind whenever we're talking about the Providence Bruins. While we're on the subject of that, let's I want to take a look at some of the standings here. The Atlantic is kind of as predictable as you can imagine. Guess who's in top? It's Hershey. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of sick of seeing them at the top. Like, let someone else have a turn. Maybe Charlotte. Right. Second. Checkers, where are you at?
Just like chill, bro. Like everybody can take a turn on the seesaw. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like nobody likes a stingy, like hoggy hog. Okay, that's why everybody thought Sharpay Evans was the villain of High School Musical when really she wasn't. But everybody thinks she is because you're acting a lot like Sharpay, Hershey.
I'm gonna assume that is a dig because I never saw High School Musical.
Okay, so. Sharpay Evans, first of all, did nothing wrong. Gabriela Montez is the true villain. Gabriela Montez and Troy Bolton are the villains of High School Musical. Look, Sharpay ran the theater department. She was gearing up for the spring musicale.
If your name is Sharpay, you're automatically the villain. I don't care.
It's not spelled like the dog.
I don't care.
Anyway, Sharpay Evans was just here trying to make a name for herself in the High School Musical theater world, which, sure. And in comes this nerd, absolute dork mathlete who met the basketball captain at a ski chalet over winter break. So she comes in after winter break and is like, nice penmanship. All right, you know what? Go fill a beaker full of like hydrochloric acid and drink it or something, okay? Gabriella, figure it out, all right? Then they accidentally audition for the musical and they get the lead even though neither one of them have singing or musical acting experience.
Wow, no way.
justice for my girl Sharpay. She did nothing wrong. And hiring everybody at the whatever for High School Musical 2, also not Sharpay's fault.
I'm going to maintain that her name's Sharpay, so she's just automatically the villain. I don't care.
She's really not. She was living in her own world, and suddenly these two weirdos come in.
Anyway, we got Charlotte second in the division. Providence, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, Springfield, Hartford, Lehigh. At the bottom, can we talk about the Bridgeport Islanders for a minute? Because they're just perpetually at the bottom of the Atlantic, so much so that even the Titanic is like, whoa, bro, you got to move on at some point. Every time I keep seeing this squad, and they're like, they've lost like 9 games in a row now. Is that correct? Oh, I'm sorry. They're only on an 8-game losing streak. My mistake. I was almost overselling it a little bit. What's going on? Okay, because like I feel like that entire organization is just where fun goes to die. Maybe it's Lou Lamoriello, maybe it's Patrick Waugh. Probably not hurting Bridgeport so much. But what's going on?
I was having this conversation the other day. It's Lou Lamoriello. Like, why do you get to make the rules for everybody? Like everybody, so like, and it's all based on some like arbitrary, asinine, literally comes out of your butt rules.
Do we have a confirmed source that it comes out of his butt, or like?
Source is the rules are all crap, so it has to come from somewhere.
All right, that kind of checks out there, but like.
No, listen, Lou Lamoriello lost any credibility about his like rules or whatever when he made Anthony Duclair cut his hair.
I think it happened way before then.
No, I mean, there was some like, okay, some redeemable whatever. Like, I get it, old school hockey. You want everybody to kind of like, I was in the military, like I get it, you know, like I understand the uniformity, the like discipline or whatever. Like, I get where you're coming from, but then you made a black man cut his hair.
Yeah, probably not the best move.
Yeah.
But how does that how does that like why does Bridgeport have to suffer because of that? Well, why I get the Islanders being poisoned, right? Patrick Waugh's their coach. It's impossible to not. But how does all of that trickle down into here to the point where it's like, I can't believe Chris Terry came back. Like, you knew that what does that say about what Chicago was doing last year? Because Chris Terry left Bridgeport, went to Chicago, and was like, I'm gonna head back to Bridgeport of all places and take my family back there just so they can watch us be bad.
Look, I don't
over again.
I think it's one of those things where it's like the sins of the father. You know? They stopped trusting the Gorton's fishermen. And like, you know, here's where we are with that.
It's painful, and
they're struggling. They're not.
No, they're beyond struggling.
Right, but they're not. They're not drafting like high enough to really do anything, but to make any moves in the middle of the season, they're getting rid of. Sorry, a tweet just came through. The Habs have acquired Carrier for Barron.
Will Carrier?
Alexander Carrier.
Oh.
Anyway,
Carolina just signed him to like a 19-year deal. I can't believe they traded him after like.
No, Alexander Carrier. Sorry, but it's like the sins of the father, right? Like the Islanders, NHL Islanders, aren't drafting high enough, and to make any of their moves because they're not whatever in the middle of the season, they're getting rid of higher draft picks because they have to sweeten the deal a little bit. They're not drafting well. They're drafting mid to bottom in every round. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I can't buy that because you don't need the top talent to do well in the AHL. You get how many teams have stacked their teams up with second round, third round, fourth round talents, and they just go off and they pop off. Like,
sure, no, but the Islanders
hasn't drafted high, but the Milwaukee's always been decent.
Yeah. But listen, the Bridgeport, Islanders, Sound Tigers.
We've already been over the whole.
Yeah, I don't. They've always sucked. Listen, you got to move out of Bridgeport. That's the problem. The city's cursed. It's the whale that P.T. Barnum trapped in his little indoor museum during that fire. The ghost of that whale has cursed your hockey team. I don't know why, but it has.
There's a lot of curse talk on this week's episode. I'm just going to be running with that right now. We're talking a lot about curses here. So how does Bridgeport exercise their demons? Because Florian Jekhi scored 3 goals on him in like
0.5 seconds. Yes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't count because that's Florian Jekhi. He's like, I don't know if you've heard, but he's like really good at hockey.
Like 6 goals on him.
No, he's like really good at hockey. I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah, and there's also like 200 people in the building that even saw it happen. Like, thank the hockey gods for flow hockey, because if that wasn't being streamed, no one would have, like, it would have been like Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. There wouldn't have been any footage of that.
Yeah, and then it would have been debatable as to whether or not Wilt Chamberlain actually made that goal. Listen, they got to move out of Bridgeport. That's how they exercise the demon.
That's not fair to the 2,000 fans that show up at night, though.
Okay, well, can't they move like 30 minutes away?
What's 30 minutes away? I'm not
their
familiar.
New barn. Congratulations.
I think ever since they rebranded to the Islanders, this team has just been the bowels of awful, and I don't think the hockey gods were pleased. If you're not going to be creative, then you will be punished. I think that's the salient lesson to be learned out of this.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. Just get better at hockey, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Be better at hockey, be creative, be fun. This is like I'm sure these, could you imagine, like, put myself in their skates. Like, I hate going to work. Like, I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, I hate going to work. I would hate.
Fair, you don't play professional hockey for a living.
Okay, well, listen, will you let me finish my mirroring here? I'm sure these guys wake up and they hate going to the rink. Like, they just like, I gotta play hockey today. Like, it sounds great until you're down 3-0, and then you realize that it's been like 2 minutes, and you're like, I hate this. I'm it's from the bottom of my heart, I hope that's not the case, but I can't imagine that they feel like they're having fun at the bottom of the standings again.
I don't know. Yeah, it's really giving Stockton heat. Like, it's giving not great vibes.
I hope Bridgeport. I was gonna say I hope they turn it around, but I don't know if I do, honestly. Maybe this is just it. Maybe this is just what the Islanders are.
I think it might just be what they are. Yeah.
This is depressing me. Let's let's move on and let's look to the future, because I'm looking at William Dufour's career plus minus, and it's making me depressed. And let's take a look ahead at some of the key matchups that we got for you coming up this weekend. Well, all week really, but mostly the weekend because that's how the AHL operates. I'm going to start again with my beat because I cover two good hockey teams, and you should watch Grand Rapids at Cleveland, not just because it's my beat, but you got two top teams in their respective divisions. Cleveland's at the top of the North. They have the leading point scorer right now in Trey Fix-Wolansky, leading the whole league again. I'm kind of sick of him too. Like, will Columbus just call this kid up already? Because I'm like, he just keeps tearing the Griffins up, and I'm tired of seeing it. But yeah, the Griffins have been steadily the top team in this division for good reason. Sebastian Cossa is still massive and a good goalie. And I mean, last game I believe Griffins won 6-4. So it's fireworks. It's always fireworks when these two teams come together. And you should watch it this weekend. What does that mean?
What does what mean?
Like why? Watch. That's the whole thing of the look at like games you should watch. Watch it.
I know. I don't know where you think I'm going to get time to watch this. It's a week before Christmas.
I don't know. DVR it.
Yeah, okay.
Watch it. Put it on TV at Zoomies.
I don't have a TV at Zoomies.
Bring one in. Maybe some people will be like, hey, I want to watch the hockey game while I'm shopping.
Yeah.
It's the holiday season, man. Anyway, since D's going to be a Scrooge about it, we're going to go on. We're going to stick in Cleveland. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went there. And
I'm already Jewish.
On Monday, the Cleveland Monsters are going to be going to Milwaukee to take on the Admirals. It's kind of the same situation I talked about before. Two really good teams, except Milwaukee is second in the division. Sorry, Grand Rapids holding up top. And, you know, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. I was really hoping that this might have been like a Calder Cup final matchup last year, but we decided to get Coachella and Hershey again. Could you imagine if that happened 3 times in a row? I might stop watching this league if that happens.
Next, yeah, valid.
I'm just going to be back every year. Anyway, 2 good squads. You should watch it. You know what's not 2 good squads? Friday and Sunday, we got Henderson in Calgary. I mean, 1 good squad for sure. We like some Calgary Wranglers on the AHL pre-show.
We like us some Wranglers here, yeah.
We like Wranglers. I like Wranglers. Shout out to Valtteri.
See, but here's the thing. Right, but we got the Wranglers, right, going up against the horses on the chessboard. They're going to wrangle the horses. That's literally what Wranglers do.
That's probably what's going to end up happening.
Yeah, that and they got some. They make really nice jeans, but
in Calgary too, of all places. Like if you're gonna sport some jeans, it's gonna be in Calgary.
Yeah, so they're gonna wrangle them knights, wrangle them silver horses.
Do we have any hope that Henderson isn't just cosplaying as Desert Bridgeport? I do. No? I want Henderson to be good. I don't want Bridgeport to be good, but I want Henderson to be good.
I don't want any team to not be good, but we already know about my long-standing beef with the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And anything that's related to them, I sincerely hope never succeeds.
What
did
Vegas do to you?
You don't know about my beef with Vegas?
What, did you lose a bunch of money there?
No. One, I think it's a terrible city. 2,
arguing about this. I mean, I guess you are.
the Golden Knights in particular were handed everything on a silver platter, and still everybody wanted to complain that it wasn't enough. No, shut up.
I mean, blame the Minnesota Wild for most of that.
Oh, I do.
And Columbus was just like, here, have a free William Karlsson. Like,
yeah, but like,
we're gonna protect Brandon.
I can blame Marc-Andre Fleury too. He waived his no move clause to be able to enter the expansion draft. And no, they changed the rules of the expansion draft in Vegas's favor. The conspiracy theory time. They handed, because Gary Bettman wants hockey in the desert to succeed so bad, they handed the Golden Knights success on a silver platter, and still everybody was all huff. Players too were like, didn't go our way. Listen, guy, listen. It should take you more than 3 years to win a Stanley Cup. I don't know what anybody is complaining about right now. It should take you more than 3 years after entering the league to win a Stanley Cup. You got handed everything on a silver platter.
Can you wear some tinfoil on your hat next week?
No.
Why not? It would be so much fun.
It's not good for my hair. I've got curly hair.
Well, put a hat on and then put tinfoil on top of it. And then...
Also, the New York Rangers traded Capo Caco.
I saw that. For Will Borgen and 2 draft picks that are going to be like 95 and 112. So...
it's going to be bonkers.
Great asset management, Rangers. Also, how vindictive do you think Chris Drury was in that trade call after Kakko decided to throw everyone else under the bus? And Drury's just like, all right, well, he's gone.
Yeah, he's burning some bridges, isn't he, Mr.
Yeah, that was pretty ruthless. I think he knew he was on his way out, so he was just like, hey, you know what?
He's leaving it in flames. He's like, Captain, gone. One of our really good young players, gone.
Former number 2 overall pick. Yeah, I'll take a 6th round pick for that. Oof.
Anyway, I digress. Back to the standings.
Back to okay. I feel your beef with the Vegas organization. It's valid. I understand it. I don't feel the same way. I would like Henderson to. I think it would be better for the Pacific Division if Henderson, maybe not a contender. You don't have to be content. I'm sick of seeing the same teams at the bottom. Like, I feel like it's tired, man. And seeing San Diego and Henderson at the bottom, and then you look in Bridgeport at the bottom. Like, I like to see different teams on the come up and different teams on the come down. If you're especially in this league, I feel like if you're gonna be awful for so long, it's not sustainable. And I'm hoping maybe something starts to spark with this team and they can kind of climb up the standings. And beating Calgary would go a long way because that's a solid squad and they can really turn it up.
Well, here's the thing. Only reason I'm inclined to agree with you is because I believe that the only people who can crush Hershey under their feet are going to come out of the West. Not the Central. They need to come out of the very western parts of the United States.
Why did the Central just catch a stray there?
No, because they've tried it. All right.
Ooh, the West tried twice and they lost.
They're gonna come out of the West.
Coachella had 2 chances.
I understand that. I understand, but the Central has tried it previously. They haven't made it that far. Do you know who has made it that far? Men of the West.
Chicago. For one, Chicago went there. And
all right, and then what happened?
They won.
No. After that.
Carolina happened. That's what happened.
Yeah. Arise, men of the West.
I don't agree with that take in the least.
You're biased, though, so that doesn't really...
I'm man enough to acknowledge my bias, but at least there's hardware behind it.
Sure, but, you want to see a new team succeed? It's going to have to be one of the new teams in the West.
All right, I'll allow that. Just not Hershey. I'm tired of Hershey. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody's gotta melt the chocolate. Melt the chocolate. Hashtag melt the chocolate.
Here's another one of two more bad teams on the docket here. Rockford and Manitoba are going at it on Friday and Sunday. So this is going to be a fun little exercise for Rockford, because not only do you have to go to Manitoba for 2 games, but you play on Friday, then you sit there on a Saturday in Winnipeg in the middle of December. I can't think of a worse mental game for them to come out for on Sunday. They're going to be flat. And that's a great chance for Manitoba to come away with 2, maybe 3 or 4 points on the weekend. And
I think Manitoba's got it.
I think Manitoba. I've seen a lot of Manitoba. Manitoba's not very good, but
they're not. But Manitoba does this weird thing where they win the games that you think they absolutely have no chance of winning. So that's why I say I think Manitoba's got it. Manitoba's the only team that's prepared for Manitoba in December.
It's true. It's actually very true. But no one's ever scared of playing in Manitoba because of the team, though. They're scared of playing in Manitoba because what if the plane breaks down and they have to spend another night in Manitoba? That's what's scary about Manitoba.
Listen, apparently Winnipeg's like a great city.
I love the Jets. but I also understand that, it's probably got a bit of a Silent Hill vibe on a Saturday night at around 6:30. So I sympathize. It's just that's it. I love the fans. I love the vibe, and I hope you guys have a better hockey team. And I hope it starts this weekend by beating Rockford once, maybe twice.
I agree, because the Moose have too cool of a number font.
I love
to not be successful.
Font. I love the antler font.
I love the antler font. I'm such a big fan of the antler font. I'm like, I live for it.
That's fantastic. I think the Moose have the best retro jersey, and I think they need to bring it out more often as well.
The Moose, aesthetically, the Moose
is the greatest.
Aesthetically, the Moose have it on lock. They probably make the best design decisions in the league.
I agree. I mean, they have a good base with. They didn't. I just nailed on Bridgeport for not being creative, and most of the whole color scheme and everything is basically just copy and paste from the Jets. But the at least they have the numbers, to kind of change it up, and it's got a way more wholesome feel to it. I'll say that.
They've got an identity.
They got an identity, exactly. It's not just, we're our parents' team, So
let's have some problems with Bridgeport, Henderson, San Jose for a couple of little seconds. They just copy and paste versions of the Texas Stars,
Iowa. The Iowa Wild.
It's just there's no identity there.
Right.
And then they ruin the most attractive thing that the AHL has ever seen. Iowa.
That's why I don't apologize for Bridgeport or Iowa hate. I want to see Henderson, Manitoba. Yeah, and then push Iowa and Bridgeport down. We punch down on this podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, technically, it's punching up because they, at the end of the day, are being paid hockey professionally. Talking about it.
Yeah, I can buy that, but there's still.
Why are you talking about hockey? We're talking about
how they're still hockey. And they're down in the standings. I'll give them some leeway there. These are people. They're people. All right. Last one I have on the docket. It's not quite two or even one bad team. It's Ontario and Coachella Valley having a home and home. If you want your shot at the champ out west, probably one of these two teams, maybe. I mean, Ontario's been on fire lately. Coachella, hey, why not go 0 for 3, right? So I think this is going to be a fun litmus test for both of these squads.
These are the important games. These are the games where it's still kind of early in the season. You know, everybody's into the grind of things. Like this is your chance to set the tone for the playoffs because both of these teams, barring acts of God, are making the playoffs. You know, and this is your chance to set the tone and really like start to build that intimidation for the postseason.
Yep, this is where, I mean, especially with the format and the way that you only see teams in your own division for the first 6 rounds that they have because the Pacific is a mess. Yeah, this is where it all starts here. So set the tone. It's December, but you can rest assured these two teams are probably going to see each other in April. Closing thoughts.
Head empty. None of them.
What a vibe.
That's rude. Look, I have a keychain tape measure.
It's that's for your keychain. Right, look at that thing. It's so little.
It's like really thin.
It's like Bridgeport's point totals. Anyway, thank all of you out there. You guys are awesome. Thanks again for tuning in, joining us on this wild and crazy ride. I'm Andrew.
I'm D.
D. Even with a little break in her pinky, she's still D.
Yeah, I pinky promised too hard.
You pinky promised a little too hard. We'll be back we're gonna take a break next week for the Christmas holiday, but we'll see you guys in the new year. Have a very happy holidays, whichever faith that you practice, and we'll see you guys next time.